Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little different. We're ditching the pranks and challenges and diving headfirst into the world of museums. But not just any museums, we're talking about the weirdest, most unusual, most what-were-they-thinking museums on the planet. Get ready to have your minds blown because these places are unlike anything you've ever seen. We're talking about museums dedicated to bad art. Bigfoot, toilets. Yeah, you heard that right, toilets. And a whole lot more. So buckle up, smash that like button, and get ready for a wild ride as we explore the top 5 most unusual museums in the world you've never seen. First up, we're heading to the great state of Massachusetts, home of clam chowder, the Boston Tea Party, and the Museum of Bad Art, also known as MOBA. Now I know what you're thinking, a museum dedicated to bad art? Sounds kinda mean, right? But trust me, this place is amazing. It's like a car crash for your eyeballs. You can't look away. They've got everything from paintings of dogs that look like they were done by a 5-year-old high on sugar, to sculptures that would make Picasso turn in his grave. The best part? The museum's founders are totally in on the joke. They embrace the awfulness, the so bad it's good quality of these pieces. They even have a whole section dedicated to velvet paintings, which, let's be real, are their own special kind of terrible. Imagine walking through these halls, each painting more bizarre than the last. You've got portraits with eyes that follow you, landscapes that look like they were painted by someone who's never actually seen a tree, and still lifes that make you question the very nature of reality. And the stories behind these masterpieces? Oh man, you wouldn't believe it. Some of these artists actually thought they were creating genius, like they were out here comparing themselves to Michelangelo, while painting a portrait of their cat riding a unicorn. But that's the beauty of MOBA. It doesn't discriminate. It celebrates the underdog, the artist who tried their best. But their best just happened to be hilariously, wonderfully awful. It's a place where you can laugh at art without feeling bad about it. Because let's face it, sometimes art deserves to be laughed at. So if you ever find yourself in Massachusetts and you're looking for a good laugh, skip the tourist traps and head straight to MOBA. It's an experience you won't soon forget, I guarantee it. Just, maybe don't eat beforehand. You never know what kind of artistic horrors await you inside. Next up on our world tour of weirdness, we're venturing into the wilds of Portland, Maine, home of lobster rolls, lighthouses, and the International Cryptozoology Museum. That's right, folks, a museum dedicated to all things cryptozoology, the study of hidden animals. Now, if you're anything like me, you grew up fascinated by creatures like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and the Chupacabra. And this museum is like a dream come true for anyone who's ever stayed up late reading about these mysterious beasts. Imagine stepping into a world of plaster casts of giant footprints, grainy photographs of shadowy figures, and eyewitness accounts that'll send chills down your spine. You've got exhibits dedicated to Bigfoot sightings all over the world, from the forests of the Pacific Northwest to the Himalayas. They've even got a whole section on the Loch Ness Monster, complete with sonar readings and underwater photographs that are sure to make you a believer, or at least make you question everything you thought you knew about Scottish lakes. But it's not just the big names that get the spotlight here. The museum also delves into lesser-known cryptids like the Jersey Devil, a winged demon said to haunt the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, and the Mongolian death worm, a giant venomous worm rumored to roam the Gobi Desert. And you know I love a good conspiracy theory, and this place is full of them. You've got theories about government cover-ups, ancient legends, and even alien involvement. It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about the world around us. So, if you're ever in Portland, Maine, and you're looking for a truly unique and mind-bending experience, be sure to check out the International Cryptozoology Museum. Just, be careful not to wander off into the woods afterwards. You never know what you might find, or what might find you. Chapter 3. The Sulab International Museum of Toilets. A surprisingly interesting history. Alright guys, get ready to flush away your preconceived notions about museums because we're about to dive into the fascinating world of toilets. That's right, you heard me correctly. We're talking about the Sulab International Museum of Toilets in New Delhi, India. I know, it sounds kind of gross, but trust me on this one. This place is surprisingly interesting. It's like a crash course in the history of sanitation and hygiene from ancient times to the present day. Imagine walking through a museum and seeing toilets from all over the world, from chamber pots used by Roman emperors to elaborate Victorian-era commodes. You've got toilets made of gold, toilets that look like thrones, and toilets that are so ornate they belong in an art gallery. But it's not all about aesthetics. The museum also delves into the social and cultural significance of toilets throughout history. You'll learn about the development of sewage systems, the invention of the flush toilet, thank you Sir John Harrington, and the ongoing fight for sanitation in developing countries. This place is seriously educational. You'll walk out of there with a whole new appreciation for the humble toilet and the role it plays in our lives. Plus, you'll have some seriously interesting facts to share at your next dinner party. But it's not just about the past. The museum also looks at the future of toilets with exhibits on water conservation, composting toilets, and other sustainable sanitation solutions. It's a fascinating look at how we can all do our part to protect the environment one flush at a time. So if you ever find yourself in New Delhi and you're looking for a museum experience that's a little off the beaten path, be sure to check out the Sulab International Museum of Toilets. It's a surprisingly engaging and educational experience that will leave you with a whole new perspective on the porcelain throne. Chapter 4. The Icelandic Phological Museum. You won't believe what they have on display. Alright guys, buckle up because things are about to get a little weird. Even for us. We're heading to Reykjavik, Iceland, home of the Northern Lights, geothermal pools, and the Icelandic Phological Museum. Yep, you read that right. It's a museum dedicated to penises. And I'm not talking about just any penises, we're talking about penises from all over the animal kingdom. From whales to hamsters, they've got it all. Over 200 specimens, all carefully preserved and displayed for your viewing pleasure. Imagine walking into a room filled with jars upon jars of, well, you know, it's definitely not your average museum experience, but hey, that's what we're here for, right? The museum's founder, Sigurdur Hjartarson, was apparently fascinated by phalluses from a young age, and he dedicated his life to collecting and showcasing these unique specimens. They've got everything from a massive sperm whale penis that's bigger than a human being, to a tiny hamster penis that you need a magnifying glass to see. It's a real testament to the diversity of nature, and it's sure to make you appreciate the male anatomy in a whole new light. But it's not just about the shock value. The museum also provides educational information about each species and their reproductive habits. So, you can learn all about the mating rituals of polar bears while staring at a jar containing, well, you get the picture. And hey, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about human anatomy along the way. Just try not to make eye contact with the other visitors. It can get a little awkward in there. So, if you're ever in Iceland and you're feeling adventurous, swing by the Icelandic Phological Museum. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you're sure to never forget, even if you want to. Chapter 5. The Museum of Broken Relationships, where love goes to die? Alright guys, get ready to feel all the feels because our final stop on our unusual museum tour is going to tug at your heartstrings. We're heading to Zagreb, Croatia, home of stunning architecture, delicious food, and the Museum of Broken Relationships. This museum is dedicated to the bittersweet memories of love lost, to the remnants of relationships that have gone their separate ways. It's a collection of personal objects, each one donated by someone who wanted to share their story of heartbreak and healing. Imagine walking through a dimly lit gallery, surrounded by objects that were once imbued with love and meaning. You've got letters, photographs, gifts, even wedding dresses, each one accompanied by a short story written by the person who donated it. Some stories are funny, some are heartbreaking, but they're all incredibly relatable. You've got stories of first love, long-distance relationships, infidelity, and everything in between. It's a reminder that we've all been there, we've all loved and lost, and that's okay. There's something incredibly cathartic about reading these stories and realizing that you're not alone in your pain. It's a reminder that heartbreak is a universal experience and that it's possible to heal and move on, even when it feels like your heart will never mend. You'll find yourself laughing along with some stories, tearing up at others, and maybe even recognizing a bit of your own love life in the mix. It's a powerful experience that will stay with you long after you leave the museum. So if you're ever in Zagreb and you're looking for a museum that will make you feel all the feels, be sure to check out the Museum of Broken Relationships. It's a beautiful and poignant tribute to the power of love, loss, and the resilience of the human heart. And there you have it, folks, the top 5 most unusual museums in the world you've never seen. I don't know about you guys, but I'm officially adding all of these to my travel bucket list. From bad art and Bigfoot to toilets and those other things, these museums prove that there's a whole world of weirdness out there just waiting to be explored. So the next time you're planning a trip, skip the boring old art galleries and history museums and check out one of these bizarre and wonderful places. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more interesting content. Let us know in the comments which museum you found the most unusual. See you next time.